Hi, I'm Kevin Overholser. I work for Authentic Details. We do paint protection film, ceramic coatings, and ceramic window tint. And today, I wanted to talk about one of the different ways we sell colored PPF. One of the biggest selling points that we talk about with a lot of our customers are the differences between vinyl and PPF. And obviously, this is going to be a big topic. Something that you might find when you're having this conversation with a lot of clients is the price difference. Now, you'll notice that when you wrap a car in colored PPF, price is going to be hovering anywhere between 7 to 10K, whereas a vinyl wrap, which people are more used to when it comes to changing the color of their car, will typically hover between 3 to maybe 7K typically. So you have a big sliding scale between these two. Now, one of the most important things you need to do is show people the value in that added price. One of the ways that we do this is explaining to people, the benefits of PPF versus vinyl. For instance, vinyl is anywhere between a 3 to 4 year product on average, whereas PPF is going to be more of a 10-year product. So right there, you can kind of expand the duration and add some value. Another key thing is going to be the depth of PPF. You're going to get a much more paint-like look with a lot of the PPF colors versus vinyl colors. Because vinyl is thinner, it makes it easier to wrap, but you're going to lose some of that paint-like look on your car, which is a really important distinction if you're looking into color shift colors or things like gloss black. You want it to be deep, you want it to be nice, sleek, and almost paint-like, which PPF will provide you. Another key difference to point out is that this is still paint protection film, whereas vinyl isn't going to offer you the same level of protection. And so when you start adding these things together, 10-year lifespan warranty included, you're getting a deeper, more paint-like look with this film, and it's going to keep your original car's paint safe underneath. So if you do want to go and sell this car down the road, you can take that color off and you're going to have pristine paint underneath. That price point gets a lot more justified compared to vinyl. Now, another key thing to consider when you're going into a color change sale is that these things will take time. You're going to want to have a lot of different samples. You're going to want to be very patient with your customers, and you're going to want to be able to provide good feedback to them as well. Not everybody is 100% certain what they want to do with their car, and they may ask you for your honest opinion, in which case it's always best to steer them towards what you think would be the best option for that car. We have a lot of customers that might have a couple different ideas that they want a secondary opinion on because they're unsure, and sometimes they're great ideas, sometimes they're not. So it's always good to kind of be able to provide a secondary voice to these opinions and to have all these extra samples so that you can go put a test piece on the car, let them drive around with it. You're going to want to give them a couple to take home so that they can think over, see them in different light. A lot of the color change colors aren't as visible when it's cloudy out. So if you have a customer come to you on a rainy day, you might want to give them a couple samples to take home so that they can see what that color looks like in the actual direct sunlight on their own time. One of the biggest things when it comes to a color change is remembering that this is a $7,000 to $10,000 expense for somebody, and to be thoughtful in the way that you're selling that item to them. It's a luxury expense. It's a big step. It's a long product. And so it's important to give them all the different tools so that they can make a good decision and feel good about it at the end of the day. Some places like our shop will even go as far as doing renderings for certain colors in certain cars. This is not the easiest thing to do when you get into color shifting colors, but if it's, for instance, taking a gray car to a matte black, that's a pretty easy rendering to make. And we might put some stripe packages on it, some customizations that they might look for, and all that can help them feel more confident about the sale and buying this product. Another really important thing you're going to want to do while you're selling colored PPF is have the client bring the car to you. Not only so you can take those samples and show them what it would look like on their car, but also so you can walk the car with them and explain to them all the different areas that you're going to be working on and how you're going to be working on them. Now let's talk about pricing a color change car. the two biggest things that will impact your price on a given car are going to be its size and its difficulty level. Now, typically I said that range is going to be anywhere between 7K to 10K. And you might even see some cars go beyond that if they're looking to wrap like a G-Class, for instance. The G63s are a notoriously hard car to wrap in even stealth or just regular gloss because they have such crazy contours and angles. Now, one thing that is helpful for quick pricing, or if people are looking for a ballpark in the moment, is price it like you might a matte conversion car, where you're finding the price for the gloss wrap and then adding about 20 to 25% due to the extra labor and the materials cost. And so if a customer is looking for quick pricing or maybe a reference guide just right off the bat, you can always kind of walk them through the process, give them a certain amount of coaching, and then kind of end with that soft ballpark number, which would be the car's full gloss price with an added 20 to 25% for the extra labor and materials for the color change. Typically, we find that number won't shift a whole lot once you actually get into the in-depth pricing and you get into your plotting software to fully map out the different panels, how many there are, the time that's needed, and the materials cost. Now let's talk about time, because we've already gone through the sales process, we've already gone through the pricing process. Now the customer is ready to give you their car and they're curious, how long are you going to have my car for? And this can be a hard question to solve. A lot of this will be case by case or shop by shop, but generally, if you are producing a high volume of cars, you have a dedicated team of installers, you're probably only going to need 5 days on this car. Now, there are some exceptions. When we get extraordinarily difficult cars or large cars, we'll budget 7 to 8 business days so that we have a little extra time to go through in QC and to work on all the different panels. But generally, if we're working on, say, Model X color change, we're going to want about 5 business days. If it's getting extra services, we might tack on an extra day. If it's getting something like tint or a ceramic coating, just so we can have that extra time. But generally, when you're working on a full car, that's about the range you're going to need. If you're newer to a color change, you're probably going to want to budget a little bit more time for yourself and start at 7 to 8 business days and then maybe go up to 9, just because each color film can be a little bit different, but Nanolink has done a really good job at keeping their adhesive and their film really close to a lot of the normal gloss films that we're used to using, like Expel or Suntech. So generally, you're going to want to give yourself a solid week. If you're new to it, or if you have a more difficult or larger car, you might want to budget a little extra time. Generally, that's the amount of time frame you would need. I also want to roll back a little bit to the conversation we're having about sales. Now, there are a couple opportunities to take maybe a regular PPF client and see if they would be interested in a color change for their car. And a couple of the main things that we have seen or heard are, things like, my car is just like everybody else's. You see a lot of BMW X5s, you see a lot of Tesla Model Ys, a lot of Tesla Model S's, where this is their main concern, is that every other car on the road will look like them, and they want something a little bit different, something that will help them stand out, and they want to keep their paint protected. Now, generally, you can talk to them pretty easily about these things. They might even bring it up on the spot, but you can always use that as an opportunity to start the conversation. Another really interesting one that we have seen on a couple other cars is refinishing the car. For instance, we had a Porsche 911 client who has a car that's about 10 years old. It's black, it parks under a tree, sits outside all the time, and after 10 years, that paint got so worn, there's not a whole lot you can do to refresh it and revive it other than a full repaint. So we met with him, we talked to him because he didn't want to go the repaint route, but he did want to bring it back to life. And so we said, look, it's a black Porsche. We'll just do a gloss black film over the entire thing. And when you go into a conversation about that, you do want to make it clear that things like rock chips will still dimple a little bit. It's not going to completely wash away all the imperfections. There will be some things that you'll see through the film, but it did revive the entire look of the car and made it look like it was just brand new again. Those are some of the things we like to keep in mind when we're talking through color changes with customers, and some of the different ways that we like to sell a color change to some of our PPF clients.